What's going on, guys? Zenix back here with another top 5 of that episode of The Flash, starting off with number 5. So there's a training time for Wally at the beginning of the episode. Him and Barry actually are on this route set up by Cisco and the gang, and it pretty much measures who's fastest at certain intervals. So they all place their bets. I'm pretty sure it's HR who places his bet on Wally, and everyone else places their bet on Barry because they're betting that experience is going to overcome Wally's just initial really quick burst of speed, and how he's just going at such a quick rate in his progress as a speedster. But it ends up that Barry wins, which everyone else thought, and this is because of the fact that Barry phased. So this is whenever it gets into Barry teaching Wally to phase. Wally at first is really bad at this. He actually goes straight into a wooden wall and he just hits it straight on, and he actually, I'm pretty sure, suffers a mild concussion. But then he, later in the episode, is able to master this ability with better guidance from Barry. Number 4. A new metahuman named Clive Yorkin is in town, and whenever he touches anything, it causes that thing to decompose at an accelerated rate. He somehow knows all of the cops from the Flashpoint timeline, and is crossing them out one by one. So instead of going after Joe, though, he goes after Iris, because he knows that Iris is more important to Joe than, even himself. Joe is a very selfless person, and he feels that it would be best to go after his daughter so that he can exact his revenge in a more meaningful way, essentially. Number 3. Caitlin uses her powers to freeze the decaying process. The decaying process is currently going on Iris's arm because Clive actually touched her arm. So Caitlin is just freezing it with her cold powers, and as her freezing ability wears off, things turn from bad to worse because Caitlin then turns to Killer Frost. And this is due to the prolonged use of her powers. It wouldn't have happened if she wasn't, a killer, essentially, if she was a good version of herself. So it's just because she's using her powers so long that she is turning into her actual metahuman self. Number 2, the future's coming true as the owner of a bar is killed by the meta in this episode, and the bar actually closes. In the future, it's said that it's going to reopen under a new person, and so the future is actually starting to come true, which is not good for Barry, and especially not good for Iris. Number 1, Barry manages to vibrate an entire train with people in it through a concrete blockade. Clive actually uses his decaying abilities to take, I think it was a cement pillar, and just topple it on top of the train tracks, and it's blocking the way for the train, so Barry has to vibrate the train as much as he can to get it through there. Then Wally is stuck fighting Yorkin because it took a lot out of Barry, and Wally actually defeats him by cutting himself, and then after using his speedster blood and phasing it into Clive, because what Clive does is the opposite of what speedster blood does. Speedster's blood regenerates the speedster, and Clive, it essentially degenerates, and that's how they're able to neutralize his power. At the end of the episode, we see Jessie come through a breach and tell Wally that her dad has been abducted by Grodd. This is leading into the Gorilla City episode, and it's not going to be on next week. It's going to be on in 2 weeks from now. So on February 21st, you guys can tune in, and there'll be a new episode of The Flash. So I hope you guys enjoyed this top 5 Easter eggs, and I will see you guys on February 21st. Peace.